favourite?
Favourite other companion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Besides yourself?
Besides myself, yes. Oh, myself, yes. I think, in a way, the hardest thing is that sense of knowing your place. And your place is to ask the questions that need to be answered, to maintain enough courage to make it believable that you would choose to be there. I think that's the thing. But also, I have to say, I have a difficulty if I'm watching the show and everybody is too jokey laughing, because I think you have to be really brave. It's like if you were to watch someone going to war. You make that choice that you're going to go to war and face this situation, and then many times that is in a way what the Doctor does. He goes to peace in order to prevent the war, which is just as dangerous as going to war. So I think wanting inside not to feel like a liability, and yet knowing the storyline would often make you the liability. So I think that was the thing that I probably found the hardest to juggle. It was frustrating the times when every companion experienced it. You would get a moment where you think, yes, great, I'm seriously brave. You know, her first story, she's not cowering behind the monster, being scared of the master. She's shouting at him and she's going, do you know what? I'm going to give you as good as I'm giving. So I love that. And then you'll come across another story, which for me, the toughest one to do was Time Lash, where literally I'm tied to a pole and I felt like, is this the 60s? What? Because it felt like it had reverted back, in a way, to some of the stories that I watched when I was a kid. And I wanted that momentum to keep going. But having made friends with and spoken to practically all the companions now, because we all meet at various convention stuff, we all feel exactly the same. And it didn't even matter if you were playing the strongest of characters, like Leela, go there for the night fight. There were still moments where you thought, oh no, I have to be the liability this time. So I think that was the hardest thing. In terms of a favourite companion, I guess it's a bit like who you grow up with, isn't it? It's the first companion that you fantasize in your own head. Oh, I'd like to be that. I'd like to travel with the Doctor. So for me, that was Jo and Katie Manning. So she has a great fondness in my heart.
What would you say is your favourite story you were a part of?
That's another tricky one. The only thing I can tell you is it wasn't Time Lash. It's tricky because it's so easy to say caves, because the minute I got it, I thought this is a dream fairy tale story. I didn't realise, however, that it was going to become such an iconic story. I mean, I was thrilled to discover I was going to be part of a regeneration. It was like, oh my goodness, not only am I in Doctor Who, but I'm going to be part of a regeneration story. So that was huge, just speaking as a fan. But there's a lot of stories I enjoy. I very much enjoyed Vengeance on Varos. When you think about how much reality TV we are surrounded by now, and we get to vote. Okay, we're not voting for death. We're not really voting for electrocution yet, but sometimes it feels quite close, doesn't it? So there's a lot of stories that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the two Doctors, and interestingly enough, I did give up meat. Not entirely because of the two Doctors, but I no longer ate meat. And I thought it was quite a sobering thought to imagine ourselves in that food chain. So I have to say that I can't pin it down to one, because the minute I say one, somebody comes up and tells me, oh, that's my favourite story. And they remind me of all the reasons why their favourite story could be my favourite story too. But I particularly enjoyed, I have to say, my ending. I loved the whole bald head, mind transplant, dramatic ending. Speaking just as an actor, that was a great opportunity, so I enjoyed that too.
How annoyed were you when they invalidated that ending?
Well, I don't like the fact they invalidated that ending at all. I deny that. For me, Big Finish has given that great opportunity to carry on expanding the character. Are you guys all familiar with the Big Finish? Thank you. Yeah, okay, cool. So for me, my own story, Peri and the Piscaine Paradox, thank you. That story answered all those questions in the end, in a very tragic and beautiful way. So that's what I now hold on to as being the ending for Peri. So that's what I believe, or the many Peris that we now know are out there.